Hello and welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. This week we are going to work on the core area of downtown Falmouth, and this week we're going to work on this block neighborhood here, bounded by Jones Road, Palmer Ave, Gifford Street, and say Main Street. This area right in here. Not a large area, not very confusing, pretty straightforward. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the neighborhood and with the roads and with the hazards that are in that area, so this will just be a more or less a quick review, and then we'll move on and finish up this core area of Falmouth. As you can see, there is a few areas of notable interest here: the Armory, church, school, the two ponds here, Weeks Pond and Shiverick's Pond, and then over here, this is all Steamship Authority. So in the area, in this sector here, we have all residential, and on the outer edges on 28, not so much on Jones Road, but on 28 and Gifford Street, and of course on Main Street, we see a lot more commercial, but we also see a lot more multifamily residences. So that's a good way to break it out when we look at this, you know, and this is really the crux of the whole neighborhood thing. I mean, if we hear a response for an address of Comanche Drive or Davis Road, we should be thinking wood frame single family house. Okay, if we're thinking someplace 28 on Palmer Avenue or even Gifford Street, we could, you know, be thinking of multifamily residences or commercial. So that being said, the next thing that I want to point out is our prevalence of hydrants in this area. We you know, really we do want to focus on that. As we can see here, we have pipes just about everywhere in town. One place that we will have to keep in mind in keeping our kind of pre-planned books is this section of Catherine Lee Bates Road right in here. It's approximately 2,700 feet long. So a fire in the middle, we're going to run out of hose on either end. Even if we lay in from Main Street, we're going to run out around these areas here. Luckily, there's not too many buildings at front onto Catherine Lee Bates Road, in this section anyway. So it will mainly concern rear access to some of the buildings like a Congregational Church and some of the buildings on Main Street. So, you know, just keep that in mind as we go along. Okay, now we'll kind of work into some of the roads that are in that area, and like I say, this should go by fairly fast. We're going to start up here on Jones Road and kind of work in. And right on the intersection here of Jones and Palmer, up by the hospital lights, of course we have Avellino Square, and we do have these groupings of houses here. On Jones Road we also have Bower Lane, which has three or four houses here, but also does serve as a secondary access road to this. It says 373, but it's 371 Palmer Ave. But primarily, just wanted to know Bower Lane is there, and then we go down Jones and we come into Nursery Road. And as we note here, there's no entrance here on Elvira. And as we look here, we see the hydrants are 1,300 gallons a minute, 15 over here on Palmer. 1,000 in the center area here. So we have pretty good hydrants for the square footage of the homes. Here we have Stevens Lane, which runs to the power substations, and I believe this is Beacon Street. There's like one house on Beacon Street here. And we do run into Nursery Road and Daniel Street. And just remember that's not Daniel's Road down in Saconaset. We do need to keep that in mind when people call up. And Elvira runs here at Elvira and Comanche. So Comanche runs right in here off of Nursery, and as well as Daniel does. Elvira comes back and around. Now it shows here on paper that Elvira goes through. It does not. It dead ends right here, and we'll kind of pick that up right here. We'll just kind of show the way it dead ends. Here there is a pile of dirt in the back of Briggs Nursery from the other end. I mean Briggs Landscaping. From the other end, it's blocked off piles, and this is what it looks like at the end of Elvira, and I don't even see a hydrant in there. So, you know, there's a little path that cuts through there, but that's what we're run into, and hopefully dispatchers will be able to note that as well. All right. And then we have Minot, which runs right through here, and we come down Nursery, and we have Davis and Oakwood Ave and Lakeview Ave, and off of Lakeview we've Howes Lane and Hamlin Ave, and Lynn Lane runs short there. And I've seen a couple of different ways of way people approach this area. I would always recommend shooting down Gifford Street and then coming down Lakeview, but I have seen people go down Main Street and come in from Minot this way, or to Oakwood. They go around Palmer and come in Oakwood. I always find it easier to come right in off of Lakeview and hit one of these side streets to get over, but it looks to be, distance-wise, looks to be about the same. So we'll just slide down a little bit here and pick up some of these others. Of course, we know Ambets and Peterson Road over here, and we know, of course, where the Lawrence School is. And we'll wait for this map to fill in here. Okay, Howes Lane here. And I wanted to point out this here, this house here. See, we do have a different numbering here, 127, 35, 143. So the access to this must be through here. And then we have a 40, Catherine Lee Bates Road, in 18, 26, and 30, and 29. So what I believe this 40 applies to is Howes Lane, because Howes Lane used to go right across here before they were putting Catherine Lee Bates. So that's just, once again, one of those little things that you keep in mind, that you're looking for a number, or somebody says, oh, I live on 40 Howes Lane, but they're actually on Catherine Lee Bates. It can throw you off. Okay. Well, that about wraps that up. Of course, we have the school. The school's here. And as I mentioned, we'll wrap that up. We'll take a look at some of the hazards in this area and some of the other items of interest. This is the Choate Lane, the Mayflower Apartments. I believe quite a few years ago we did have a fire in one of these middle units here. They are one bedroom, really small. They're very difficult to get around inside. I know we've been there a few times on rescue, so everybody's probably familiar with it, which is the flip side, the really good side of having ambulance service attached. Having fire service EMS is that we get into these buildings and we become familiar with them through the ambulance, the end of it. So if we do have a fire, we're ahead of the game. So, all right, and of course, right behind that we have the church. And usually we're so used to seeing the front of the church, we don't have to see the back. So I just wanted to point that out. And over here used to be the parsonage. Now it's a single-family dwelling for I don't know if they rent it out or whatever, but it is occupied over here. And then these are the classrooms for the Sunday school. And then they have this. I just wanted to point out this under storage area here. But just to give us a different perspective on the building, and we'll catch this house here, which just typical of the neighborhood, whether it could be Minot Street or Nursery Road. This is just a typical, ranches that we see. But I did want to point out there. See, we see something like this, a ramp. And we're knowing, right off the bat should tell us, either somebody's in a wheelchair or somebody's incapacitated in one form or another. And it could be they're elderly or it could be a handicap. So, we just try to key in on those types of things. Then we have a larger home. This is a home right on the corner of Lakeview and I believe Lynn Lane, it's a good size 2.5 story, 2,500, 3,000 square foot home. It looks kind of older. So, just to give us a little different perspective. And then we are looking here at another house. I believe this is on Oakwood Ave. Some of the houses on Oakwood are this style here, where they do have a front porch, and they haven't been renovated yet. They're still the older style, so they're probably pretty well constructed. Just to point that out, and I believe we have this house here I wanted to point out as this is 371 and I believe 373 Palmer. Right, see if we can get this in right at the corner near the hospital lights. Okay, right in here. Yep. It says 373, but I believe it's 371. There's a whole bunch of apartments there. And as we can see right off the bat, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 doors in this one little building here. That's, pretty 2, 4, 6 people perhaps, probably some small apartments, especially that one. And then we got a ladder here, escape ladder on the side. We got an entrance door there, and one on the other side. So this building, I meant to grab all the electric meters, but sometimes that doesn't tell anything, especially if electricity is included. The landlords only put 1 meter on. So I don't know whether this is a legal apartment or illegal, but I do know that this building here has, probably 4 apartments in it. This has 3. Down behind this garage here, there's another attached building to this that has some more apartments on the 2nd floor and then on the 1st floor. So we should just look out for these clues. And obviously much greater hazard to firefighters as well as the citizens that live in there. Okay, and that about wraps that up. I just wanted to take a quick shot. I call it the Nursery Minot neighborhood, and this is that block we mentioned what the boundaries were. Really, a lot of times we talk about just single-family occupancies. Well, this is really a mixed area of, it's predominantly single-family wood frame, but we do have quite a few multi-family wood frames apartments right on Palmer Ave. Gifford Street, as well as Jones Road, and there is also some non-wood frame commercials. Avellino Square, I believe, is even though it looks wood frame, I don't believe that it is. So we just need to look at that. It does have hydrants, except for Kathleen Lee Bates. The hazards, we need to look at the courthouse, which is, you know, a brick building, but with arches, wooden laminated arches for the building, with the courthouse kind of built within it, with the power substation on Stevens Lane, Choate Lane, Mayflower Apartments, Methodist Church, the schools. This is the road network, and not too complicated, but we should be able to pick off when somebody starts naming some streets. We should be able to name this segment here, the Nursery Road, Elvira, Comanche, Daniel Street. We should know where these side streets are. When we look at Gifford Street, in this section here from Jones to Main Street, though pretty straightforward. These Barry and Lieutenant Hauser are pretty short streets, but we should be able to grab those. Palmer Ave, once again, you know, Lakewood, Oakwood, Davis, Minot, Skating Lane, and then off of Lakeview, you've got Howes Lane, Lynn, Minot. So, and then the response, Station 1, this is all within 1 mile or 1.5 miles, so we should be able to get there in 3 minutes. Station 4 is 3.4 miles, so 7 minutes. And 2 and 5 are just about tied. This is for an address in Elvira Ave at 3.9 miles. So, see, they should get there, even though it's a little longer. You're talking half a mile. It should get there just about the same time. So, Station 1 personnel, you're on your own for a few minutes, and even if they're not available, we can get some other units there nearly within the 6-minute time frame we want. Station 3, 7.3 miles, 13 minutes away. So that wraps up this session of neighborhood training. And until the next time, stay safe and eat healthy.